Hello and welcome to the first airing of the new Politics Society radio show, What's Occurring? My name is George King and I will be your host for the next hour. The way the show works is in the name really. For the next hour, in some orthodox and unorthodox ways, we will be discussing events in the news this week and our panellists will be giving their opinion on them. Whether it's bake-offs, refugees, pigs, slavery, Trident, conferences, Syria, paedophiles in Parliament, or heading off to Germany for a weekly fling, we will be discussing it on here. Most importantly, our new show has no political spin. We received numerous calls from Rupert Murdoch, but we declined any deals with him due to the fact he is Australian. I'm sorry, I meant corrupted. Firstly, I would like to thank you for tuning in this hour. I know how busy university students must be, 8 p.m. on a Thursday, sitting in halls waiting for their first conversation and contemplating whether it's best to wash up and cook or get a burger from Spoons. Please would listeners be patient with our media skills. For at least the first few weeks of the new show, there will inevitably be weird noises or no noise at all. Unfortunately, this is part of the package when you get people interested in politics and current affairs. A lot of talking, but nothing really gets done. Okay, let's introduce the panellists. Oh God, big crowd here tonight. First panellist, Conservative Party member, parliamentary researcher, avid Nottingham Forest fan, and political correctness commentariat himself, Thomas Ward.
I'm actually a caseworker.
Stand-up comedian, describes himself as a self-proclaimed voice of reason, Michael Odewale.
Good evening, everybody.
Politics Society Vice President, describes himself as a social democrat, a democratic socialist, and a generally angry person, Harrison Foster.
Hello.
Let's get on with the show. Round one is the headlines of the week round, where hosts and panellists discuss the most interesting and bizarre events this week. So this is basically the part for all the new people to the show, and we will all be new. I will be introducing, and the panellists will be discussing all the interesting things that have happened this week. Would any of the panellists like to go first?
I'll go first.
Harrison.
Okay, my highlight from the week is the current situation with Britain and Saudi Arabia. Britain has decided that we are happy to put up with beheadings for sodomy, lesbianism, cutting hands off for skin and gouging eyes out for servants, but we are not happy with beating British people, because that's just not on. So we have collapsed one of our many, many deals with the lovely dictatorship in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia.
I mean, he got a bit of stick, David Cameron, didn't he, from Jon Snow? Did you see the interview from Jon Snow just before the Conservative Party conference? He got really grilled by him on this, and he seems to have done a U-turn on the legislation. Do you think that's anything to do with the interview, or do you just think public opinion?
I think Cameron will follow public opinion, whatever happens.
I think the most important thing we've got to look at is, are we getting their oil? Are we getting it cheap?
I know you are.
Yes. So let's just do what they say, I think.
So you put oil above everything else.
Listen, man, you got to drive your car or something, you know.
Get an electric car.
You can't put your morals.
Discussing the news which really confused me was Conservative Home Secretary Theresa May. So her speech at the Tory party conference, I mean, Tom, you can maybe shed some light on this. I mean, she had a very aggressive tone towards immigration and had a huge issue with the immigration policy for the last 5 years. Now, the Home Secretary for the last 5 years has been Theresa May. My problem is with the whole thing, when you say, I have a problem with immigration in this country, imagine if Jose Mourinho, a football manager, say, walks to the press conference and says, for the last 5 years, or for the last 3, let's do the period he's been managing, we have played terribly. We have played the worst football in the world, and genuinely, all the staff are to blame. Do you think he should be blamed for that?
Well, of course. You know, like, how can you complain when you're the one in charge of solving the thing that you're complaining about? That's a weird thing to do. You know.
But she seemed. The weird thing is that she's got away scot-free, really. I mean, no one's abused. No one's. I mean, it's sort of the whole. I mean, honestly, by the way, this radio show is not a Tory bashing one. There are so many Corbyn ones coming up too. But I mean, it is really bizarre, this sort of conservative perspective of it was 2008. I mean, we are in 2015 now. That is 7 years. I'm in my 3rd year of university doing poorly on a radio show in that amount of time. I mean, it's just something that for me seems indefensible. But we'll move on anyway. I mean, listeners, it's completely up to you to what you think about this situation. But for me, I just wouldn't let it slide as quickly as the British media have. But
Especially those listening in Calais. Our thoughts are with you tonight. All the best.
What the hell is that? I don't know.
What? People are going to make the journey over. Yeah, they're going to have an opinion as well, aren't they?
Oh, I see.
I thought you meant we had a listener in Calais.
I'm just thinking, somebody might have donated a little wind-up radio.
I mean, we'd be lucky to get a listener in Greenwich, let alone Calais.
No, there are people listening because they're reporting on our failures. so I know there's people listening.
I just want to talk about the Syrian refugees for a minute.
Please, Michael, let's get topical.
Like, a lot of people are saying that the Syrian refugees are just coming here for benefits. And yeah, they are coming here for benefits. The benefits of not being bombed by the government and rebel forces in their country. Like, that is a great benefit that they're coming over here for. They're not coming over here for £30 a week money, you know what I mean? So I think that's a good point to have.
I think generally the Syrian refugee perspective has been so negative in the media that we haven't actually realised that they're being bombed at all.
Yeah.
I think we've completely forgot that. And listeners, by the way, probably the best film ever made by the BBC. Apparently there is someone who works for the BBC listening, so a bit of self-promotion there. The Syrian love story thing on iPlayer, it was Sean McAllister who directed it. It's all about the war in Syria, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was the best film I've seen in years. It was about this couple, and they eventually moved to France as refugees, but they were being bombed, and the whole time we seem to forget, especially in Britain, about the situation these guys are going through.
I think it's all very well to talk about films, but I haven't come here to review films. If I wanted to do that, I'm sure there was plenty of opportunity for me. So excuse me if Hollywood's bias is somewhat ignored by me. But if you were in Syria and you make your way across the Mediterranean, then arguably you're an economic migrant. If you're in Syria and you go to one of the camps in Jordan or in other surrounding countries, you are a refugee, and it is right that Britain takes people from those camps. However, those who make their way across the Mediterranean should be advised that, should be sent back, ideally, or taken to those camps. They are economic migrants, and Britain does not. Britain already has enough of those from the EU. So therefore, it's important that we do take from the camps as opposed to people who make the journey, because you're just going to encourage more people to make that journey.
They're desperate though. Their lives are at risk.
They go to one of the camps. They're right on the border.
But the weirdest thing for me about it is, I mean, especially because a lot of them are drowning, there are countries over land that they can't go to, that we haven't done enough about. I mean, Qatar and Saudi Arabia, vast resources, vast amount of lands. Yeah, no one's really considered refugees going to these places.
Well, it's arguable that the Arab League have not done enough.
I'd just like to remind everyone we're not allowed to criticise Saudi Arabia because we buy all their oil.
Okay.
And I quite fancy waking up tomorrow with my head still on my shoulders, so that's probably a good idea.
And by the way, that is Harrison now back with us. Thank you so much, Harrison, for listening in to see if we had any more cock-ups. Hopefully I'm allowed to say that. If not, then I apologise to the world. Well, the 13 people listening.
We have 13 listeners, that's impressive.
Honestly, I don't know how many people we have listening. I can push this button and find out. We have... I think around... Okay, do you know what? I actually have no idea how many listeners we have.
That was good, useful.
Thank you. I mean, I thought I knew. Like, I got told so much today, listeners, and I've forgotten literally all of it. So we'll move on anyway, back to politics and back to topical discussions. Have any of you got any... Tom's just knocked over the microphone. Have any of you got anything interesting?
I read an interesting story in The Guardian yesterday about a woman who went over to Syria to join ISIS, and now she wants to come back after saying, and I quote, it wasn't her cup of tea. She went...
Everyone makes choices in life. She's made her choice. She can stay out there.
Yeah, she said it was like a gangster mentality over there. It wasn't what she was expecting.
To be fair, they have been promoting that on their promotional videos. You can't act surprised.
If we're going to criticise people for making choice and then changing their mind, I think we have a few things to say about the Conservative government.
I do. I think she should. I just want to know, like, what was she expecting when she joined a terrorist organisation? Like, with...
Jihadi butlins.
For me, but she did say cup of tea.
Yeah.
So for the citizenship test, she's above many of the refugees because she. I mean, of anything you can say, saying it's not your cup of tea is very good.
That's
when
a very
you're trying
British thing to
persuade the British people. So
maybe we should take her back. You know, everyone makes mistakes. We've all done some bad things. She just happened to join ISIS. You know.
I think we should take her back along with an extra 40,000 people from the region.
Oh, good. I'm sure they'll enjoy living in your garage because I'm hoping you'd start housing people if you're willing to offer that amount.
Well, if MPs are allowed
I'll let
through
you sleep in
houses, I
back.
think we've got enough space.
But so let's get everything to the panelists. Let's stick on the refugee thing for a while because we've bought ourselves some extra time because we're definitely going to be going into the next hour slot. So
Probably.
Good luck and a very good present to all of our listeners. Okay, so with this Syrian refugee crisis, is it best that they stay in Syria? And most of them want to stay in Syria where they live. So is it best that we go for the humanitarian aid option with Assad?
You fix issues at their source.
Definitely fix them at their source. Because a lot of these people that are moving are young and fit. These are people that are going to... The same as what happened with Somalia. Eventually, the Somalian government made the Somalian citizens stay in Somalia because they were the wealth producers. And all the wealth producers are leaving Syria. So do you think it's best to keep it at its source? But, I mean, obviously it's taking refugees, yeah. But is there not a certain level in which we have to stop?
Or if you were going to solve it at the source, you'd have to deal with Assad, and that's not going to be popular, whichever option you choose.
I mean, everyone's fighting everyone, so there's not going to be a solution that's perfect. To be honest, I think we've got to work with Russia and the rest of the international community and decide and just come on, be on the side of peace. Which, to be honest, I don't think is a side that's much supported at the moment over there. I don't think anyone's batting for that team. So I think we've got to lead in that. When I say lead, I'm talking about us and the rest of the international community.
Let's move on because war's never been seen as a very funny topic. Let's go. Considering the beginning of the show was pretty funny. I mean, this was. By the way, this whole thing was set up. We actually knew what we were doing the whole time. This whole fiasco was just a game to make sure our listeners were so engaged with politics that they would keep on listening after such a fiasco.
So I've got to clear that up. That is not true. I'm not willing to lie to people. It's a new kind of politics.
Okay.
It's the truth.
That's
you effed up. Admit it. Apologise now.
To the British people.
Just to be clear, we're not going to solve the Syrian crisis tonight. It's the only reason I came. We're not going to do that.
No. Would you like to leave?
I just thought like we were going to finally do what Putin and Obama.
No, don't. We've got to
do.
keep it as our ethnic quota.
Okay. That's good. That's true. Harrison?
I was just going to point out that Tom says that we were lying, and again, that's a risky position for a Conservative Party member to take.
A lot of bashing.
Political banter.
Personal, isn't it?
Do you know, actually, here's a good topic to move on to on that subject. Does it suck being Conservative? Because no, this is pretty topical in a minute. Because getting egged, getting spat on. I mean, why would you want to be Conservative at this time? I mean, it's not exactly something. You know, you need twice the amount of showers as everyone else by the looks of things. Is there any
You're trying to
advantage?
send them a tramp.
No. I'm just saying that all the spit is definitely something that needs to be cleaned up.
Well, nobody spat on
Basically,
me.
what's it like to
Unfortunately,
be,
unfortunately for them, they didn't spit on me.
What's it like to be a young Conservative?
Young Conservative, thanks. I think it feels pretty good right now. 11 million people backed us in the recent election, and I firmly believe that we're doing a good job running this country. And take, for example, if you as a young person were supporting Ed Miliband, you were part of this Millie fandom craze, then quite frankly, I think you need to see a bit of a doctor, because we are the majority. 11 million people supported us in the election. We have the probably with the battle buses, the Road 2015. We have a fair number of foot soldiers. When I went to the conference in Birmingham last year, I reported to a friend of mine that it must have been snowing outside because there was a lot of people with grey hair. Whereas this year you don't have to laugh.
This really is a comedy show now.
If he's going to laugh like that, I'll be walking out of it. I don't need patronising. But this year, I have to say, there was a lot more young people. There was quite a vibrant atmosphere. There was a karaoke night on the last night. I didn't go, but there was a lot more. There was definitely a lot more younger people.
What was it like this year? Did you get egged at any point, or did you feel like you wanted to be for actually paying for a ticket to go to Manchester, or what was the sort of what was the atmosphere like for you when you turned up? Because on the news, all we see are people barricading with their placards and their David Cameron pig faces. And what was it like just turning up and going in the main hall?
Firstly, the traffic was awful, and my taxi cost a bomb. But once I'd got in, to be honest, by the time I arrived, it was more of a hippies commune. There was people, sat on the floor in the middle of the road, chalking the ground. It's probably still there now. Singing "We Will Overcome" and with these terrible signs. It's just awful. But
We've had our first listener request. Unbelievable, guys! And this is without technology. This is it is with technology.
Well, hang on a second. This just comes down to bullying the Conservative again, doesn't it?
You were rambling.
Do you know?
I wasn't rambling. He asked the question.
I mean, okay.
And there's Conservatives out there listening in, and I know that for a fact because they're texting me.
You are answering like a politician. I had no idea.
No, honestly.
We've got an audience to cater to, and I do that.
Do you know?
Were you interested in what you were saying, Jules? Because I lost.
I mean, I am. Don't get me wrong, but I think that people defending the problem they're in, it's always more boring, isn't it? It's always more boring. So let's move on because there are so many topics to talk about in this wonderful world that we live in. Now, as much as by the way, the request was that Tom shuts up, but
see what I'm saying?
That request isn't going to go through because Tom really wants to get this story in.
Who sent that in?
Who was the listener?
Charlotte Doutsenberg.
Charlotte. Thank you, Charlotte, so much for the request.
Her signature.
We're listening to your request, but Tom is actually queued next for the next.
Yeah, so switch off if you don't like it. We won't miss you. I'm gonna make someone who I don't know hate me now. Right, mine's related to it's not a story that was in the national press at all. It was the local press. It was back home in Nottingham.
Okay. So no one's heard of this story.
No, well, it's related to somebody I went to college with. When I went to college back at home, there was 4 Toms. There was Labour Tom, Lib Dem Tom, Conservative Tom, and UKIP Tom. Put this in perspective, I wasn't Conservative Tom. Labour Tom works in Parliament. Lib Dem Tom was one of the youngest councillors in the country at one stage. Tory Tom, I don't really care. And UKIP Tom works in Parliament for the Conservatives. But Lib Dem Tom has
Tom, you need to hurry up.
Has got himself into a bit of trouble. And the title of the article is "Council is fined £50 for leaving a rival's baseball cap skew-if." Skew-if. And we've actually quoted that. The judge said that.
Just to be clear, of all the stories you could have chosen in the world that's happened this week, you've chosen a baseball hat being left somewhere in Nottingham.
No, it was left skew if. And hang on, we've got to feel sorry for this Labour
We don't
guy.
care about the position of the...
To quote the guy from Labour, he jabbed a finger into my baseball cap and
That
pushed his
euphemism
finger
or
up.
something.
He dislodged my glasses and baseball cap, which was all skew if. I shouted to Tom Hollis, "That's assault." I had a bag of leaflets in my hand. I was trying to juggle with my glasses and my hat. That's my...
Okay, Harrison?
I'd like to suggest that Tom chose this story because it's the only one he could find that didn't make the Conservatives look bad.
Alright.
Well, I think there's plenty out
Let's
there for
actually-
Labour and John McDonnell that you're going to talk
Tom,
about today, which is a shame.
Tom, what do you want us to do with this story? I don't understand. What did you want?
Well, it was comical. I mean, I thought it was
There's
quite a
no
comical
place for
story.
comedy in politics.
You're supposed to give us
Labour
stories.
Party, there.
Supposed to give us stories to discuss, and you gave us
Why are you bullying me?
a hat story. I don't know. It's too
Are you
easy.
bullying me?
I'm sorry.
He's joking, by the way. This isn't a public bullying radio show, but we will
Throwing things at me.
we will move on.
No,
because-
George, discuss the story. You gave us a story.
Okay,
No,
discuss. Okay, right. We'll discuss the story a bit more. So, should we talk about the design of the baseball cap, or would you like us to talk about what the judge looked like, or where do we go? Where do we go with this?
Well, you know, I obviously feel sorry for Tom Hollis. But it's...
Next time, look a little bit more international for your stories. Don't look like.
sorry, the Nottingham Post is a fine establishment.
I mean, we do have a world full of media, but we will move on because in the news this week. Yes, that's right. I know the buttons. In the news this week was our university. Yeah. Calm down. I know the person eating popcorn listening to this has just thrown it in the air, and the person with the milkshake has just dropped it on the floor, but I promise you this, listeners, we were in a BBC article this week, and I quote, "A university building in Greenwich, London, is one of the 6 UK buildings to be shortlisted for the 2015 Rebus Sterling Prize for Architecture. While a select lineup of judges will decide the winner, the BBC, in partnership with RIBA, is inviting you to vote for your favourite." There is an applause button.
These are some truly riveting stories you guys have picked.
But it's our university, and for me, you know, they spent £38 million on this building.
When are they going to finish it?
I think it's part of the design, and
It's part of the design that the pipes are sticking out.
So we'll be long gone by the time this building is finished.
it is finished. I genuinely think it's part of the design. Maybe next week we can bring. Actually, no, that would be even more boring than the Nottingham Post reading. But generally, it cost around £38 million. So one nomination for an award for me is worth every penny. It really is.
Yeah, but what do we get out of the award winner?
What do we get out? I don't care about society. What do I get?
Like
Right.
a Tory attitude, Michael. We're converting you. Shall I do?
When your nan is sitting there, you know, watching the news, and she goes, "That's Greenwich on there," then she can turn to her best mate Millie and go, That's my grandson up there. He goes to that university."
Why does my grandma have a Yorkshire accent? I don't.
Look, hey, we're here to talk politics,
I think
not
you hang your head in
background.
shame over that impression and apologise to the whole of Yorkshire. That was terrible. You've made me ashamed.
Okay,
of partnering
Yorkshire,
with that.
I am very sorry. I'm very sorry. Actually, let's move on again because there is something very, very funny in the news that has happened in the last few hours. Any of you that have Facebook, it's probably been on your news feed. Boris is in Japan. Boris Johnson, our Mayor of London, for people that may not know. Boris Johnson welcomed himself to Japan today by nearly killing a young child, by rugby tackling him. And when I mean rugby tackle, I mean not the sort of rugby tackle that you think of when you get your shoulders and your arms wrapped around the legs, pick them up and slam them to the ground. Generally, he smashed a child on the floor. I mean, if you ever watched Soccer Aid a few years ago, he done the same to a grown man. But this kid was he 10 or 11? 10, even younger than I thought. And the innocent bystander got slammed to the ground. And, I mean, to be honest, there are just some things that you just can't write, and that is definitely one of
I
them.
mean, the victims are getting younger every time. You know, what's newborn babies? You going to punt it across the football field? Like, what's next? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
No. We've designed a policy just for that. It basically is the child tax credits. There will be no kid in the first place.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Satire. I like it. This is.
Would you like to do one of your stories now, Michael?
Also from the ghetto.
Okay. Did any of you guys hear about the Million Man March that took place? Of course you didn't, okay? Because there was no media coverage reported on the Million Man March, which is when a million black people marched in Washington, D.C. For their right for justice and to unite in self-help and self-defense against the economic and social ills plaguing the African American community. I'm calling it the blackout on the blacks out. Okay, why?
That's good.
Thank
He
you.
is our stand-up comic
Thank
canvas, by the way.
After me.
I just want to know why there was no media coverage. I thought that was pretty. 1 million people marching in Washington and nothing. Tom, did you hear about this?
Don't read the Guardian, so no.
No, but like, why? I think that's interesting. That wasn't reported, and maybe we should stop looking to the mainstream media for acceptance, and maybe instead turn to social media. You know, because it was reported heavily on Facebook and Twitter, specifically Black Twitter. Do you guys know what Black Twitter is?
Blitter?
It's like Twitter, but for black people. It's really fun.
Is it just vines?
No, it's social commentary, it's vines, it's memories, like basically all of pop culture. It just originates from Black Twitter. You know? The nay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where that crap comes from? Interesting.
You're allowed to say crap. You
I
stuttered there.
I
You're allowed
thought
to-
I thought carefully.
No,
we
we-
haven't hit 10 o'clock yet, but
We-
as soon as we do, you'll know about it.
Yeah, we were tempted to do our slot, listeners, for 10 o'clock so we could sort of just see what we're allowed to say. But obviously we are so much more.
I just wanted to get your opinion on something. The hashtag for the Million Man March this year was justice or else. And considering I'm in a room with 3 of the whitest people I know, what does that mean to you when you hear that, justice?
Wait,
or
hang
else?
on. Is that a compliment or like?
Take it how you
He's
want to
fairly
take it.
red, so
Take it how you
he's
wanna
quite
take it.
pale.
Justice or else? What do you feel when you hear that, Tom? What does that mean to you?
Sounds like a threat, to be honest.
Sounds like a threat. What about you, George?
Just to clarify something, Tom. When you say he, obviously listeners don't know that you're pointing, as in so you have to say the names. And as for the hashtag,
Thanks for that lesson.
that's okay.
Basic
okay.
communication. Thanks. You got to send me a certificate.
And I'm not too sure about hashtags in general, to be honest.
Justice or else? What does it mean to
I
you?
think
George?
justice or else. I think that we have to be very. It's not very. It doesn't sound very. It's not a pacifist sort of word, is it? Or else.
Yeah.
Or else. It's very much. If I don't read this hashtag, what's going to happen to me? You know.
I think it means we're not asking for justice. We're saying you have to give it to us, or else, because you shouldn't have to ask for equality. It's equality; it should be given to everyone, surely. So, or else is, we're not standing for anything else but justice.
Have we got any more? I mean, the next round is highlights of the week. Have you all still got your highlights reserved to talk about, or have any of us thrown them into the?
I never had one.
Oh, you never had one. Okay.
I was going to print them out, but you got a bit arsey with me.
The man,
It's the first year, everybody.
obviously trying to move past the justice or else hashtag. I see.
Yeah,
Can I just jump in on the Fox News? The admirable Fox News has said that it was a terrorist plot, the or else bit.
Oh,
Of
really?
course.
It actually, or else, stood for a boycott of certain companies if they didn't give justice. Because the American version of Boxing Day is Black Friday. And black people were threatening to boycott Black Friday, which would obviously put a massive dent in the economy. That's what the or else sort of stood for. Obviously, people like Tom mistook it for violence and
And Fox
rioting.
News.
And Fox News and terrorism.
Oh, it's easy to.
It's easy to do that.
Yeah. So, has it caught on? I mean, was there a march with 1 million people then, or is that a bit of an exaggeration? Because that's quite a lot of people.
It was close to 1 million. A lot of famous faces were there. Snoop Dogg.
Diane Abbott.
Who?
Diane Abbott. Was she not
No,
there?
she wasn't.
That's yes. That by the way, for listeners, Diane Abbott is
The only black person Tom knows.
it's
Well, I
it's
have
the
a good
Labour
friend.
MP and the new shadow Minister for Development.
International development.
International development. Okay, yeah. Bit of education there on the side of all of the other education that our listeners are getting tonight. This
It's
is
quite available on Wikipedia, so well done you.
Stop avoiding the question. Okay, let's move on.
all right. Let's move on. Have any of you got any more saved articles that you'd like to talk about that you've seen this week?
Wait a minute. Did you call Black Twitter Blitter?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Sorry, let's go on.
Is there actually a black Twitter though?
It's not. It's Twitter.
Is it?
It's black people's section.
Oh,
you know.
okay.
I probably even shouldn't be telling you guys about it because we don't
Where's
want
the
you to appropriate it.
where's the section for
Did you just say
overweight?
you guys?
I don't want.
I mean, I'm
it
not sure
to
if I'm
be,
offended by that.
I don't want it to be culturally appropriated. That's all I'm saying.
Where's the section for overweight 23-year-old males who are white with glasses?
That's just normal. That's just society in general. You've got all of that. We've got Black Twitter. You've got society. We got Twitter.
So maybe Twitter in general, we should, when you log in, you put your email address and you put your password
That's
and
right.
your name and your last name. What about having your social background? So there's sort of like a poll of everything about you, and then you go to your own little social network with people that are more like you.
I think that's called segregation.
I think that's called segregation. You don't want to go down that road.
I mean,
We've been down there before. 1960s America. We try not to talk about it.
but
We should talk about it.
But
We
no,
should,
but,
you're
no,
right.
but it's sort of like with Tinder, you match things that you're similar with. Why can't you do the same on Twitter? You just go to. I'm not saying you put your ethnicity, just sort of your interests, but it's a Twitter for your interests.
There's an app idea, George. You could be the next.
Or hang on a second. Why are we making such a difference between black and white? We're all people.
It's just that some people, like the ones in Parliament, like to think they're better than other people.
Nobody in Parliament thinks they're better than anyone.
I think everyone in Parliament thinks they're better than everyone else.
No. The cleaners are very down to earth. And the person who got my dinner yesterday, absolutely lovely, overcharged, very polite about it. Yeah, no.
Who's clinking? Who's clinking?
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was Tom. Listeners, if you
Sorry, that was my Coke.
if you worry what that clinking was, that was Tom's glass and his hoodie. We've got a lot of noises. Oh, and if you were worrying there was a little rattling noise earlier, that was Tom opening sweets wrappers. As I said, it is the first week. We're still trying
James
to...
Neen, thank you for giving me those violets.
Yeah, shout out to James Neen for giving us sweets beforehand. That was very, very, very helpful. It probably gave us the energy we
Can we
needed.
do shout outs on here? Is that what we're doing?
We can, like Obama. Hello, thank you for listening.
Was that directed for me?
No, just I just know he's listening. He messaged me earlier.
Shout out to Arda, Javier, all my peeps listening at home. Thank you for listening. I should probably do this at the end, so I can't.
Alright, this isn't one of those underground radio stations that you see advertised on a
Actually,
on a bus station.
We're sort of in the middle of the show anyway, guys, and I'm just going to introduce you. You heard it at the beginning, but you might have thought it was to do with the actual whole palaver we had earlier with music.
The issue is nobody heard anything at the beginning.
Nobody had anything, and we had some Korean music at some point too. Honestly, we're not cultured enough to even be playing Korean music, but this is actually our intro. I'm just going to play it one more time,
I'm sick of the song, but play it.
Just so you know what our intro is for the next few shows, and that's when it will actually start. Are you ready? Okay, let's give it. Let's see if this works. Didn't work, and we're back to the Korean song.
Let's just continue with the. Okay, fine.
I honestly have no idea why that Korean bit keeps coming in at the end.
I feel like we just played that to fill time. I feel like that's what we just did.
I don't know what it is.
That's going to become a cult. It's better than that bloody.
You're allowed to say
language. It's better than. It's better. No offense, Ruben, if you're listening. But I think it's better than that other one that you've just intended.
I think the intro is good. Listeners, whatever you think about the intro, it is early doors. I'd love to hear what you think about
I
it.
feel like we've lost track. Let's
Yeah,
get
we
back
have.
on
But
track.
I feel like next week when we get the show, boom,
Right.
boom, boom, straight in. It'd be great to know what you listeners think about
there's a next one.
about our intro. But we'll go back now. One thing we're staying on Parliament. It is a politics society show, so we'll stay on the Parliament topic. Now, obviously, yesterday Jeremy Corbyn had his first PMQ. Did you all watch it?
His second.
His second. I'm sorry, his second. I thought it was his first because it's been a few weeks. It's been
Yeah,
a few
I
weeks,
was in on the first. It was quite an experience. I've never seen the place so packed. I usually go in at the end of the day about 8 o'clock, and it's usually just me and a handful of MPs nobody's heard of, and perhaps some journalist. But it was absolutely packed, and it was quite fun. I managed to get a ticket literally just on 12. Literally legged it up the stairs. I don't think I've ever run so fast in my life. I think I had a heart attack at the top, but and it was. I have to say it was absolutely thoroughly worth it, and I think that was when the going went well for Jeremy Corbyn. I think now, obviously, after all these U-turns, they're not quite.
U-turns?
I
think
all these. One.
One.
You won, but I think it's a fairly significant U-turn.
How many of the
I think
Conservatives made in the same time period?
I think it's none.
Let's slow it down a little.
Yeah, sorry, we might have probably just blown some of your ears with
Keep in mind.
with that
Stop
bit.
playing with those.
I'm turning
buttons.
the mics
I'm
down.
right here.
I'm
Loud. No.
I'm turning the mics down. But we're back to his second PMQ, because what I really sort of didn't understand about the whole thing is, for his first, he asked questions on behalf of the British people, and he done it again this time. Now, I get it for the first few times, what the people want to hear and the people want to hear, but he must have someone that takes away the silly ones, because, I mean, for me, what if there's like I don't know, on page 3 you have like what Stacey thinks about these things. Imagine if one of them is like, Stacey wants to know David Cameron.
Yeah, I mean they've taken out my one, which was like I wanted to know what it felt like to be into Diane Abbott, but I think that's something. I think that's something most people wanted to know, and unfortunately it didn't.
What's your fascination with Jeremy Corbyn's sex life? What is that?
This is turning into late night love, and I'm not going down that path.
He's a 67-year-old vegetarian. I mean,
It's more normal than David Cameron's sex life, from what we heard these past
Allegedly,
weeks.
don't get yourself
Allegedly.
sent to court, because I think he's got more millions than you.
He said he didn't have time to sue anyone.
He doesn't have time to say anyone.
Well, he'll get his people to do it, like his dad.
okay,
like George's dad.
Let's leave stuff like that, please. Anyway, let's go.
That's an in-joke.
Let's go back to the PM. Michael, you talk.
Okay, so I'm talking about the PMQs, which I didn't watch. I think there should be like a match of the day for PMQs, just kind of like the highlights or something. Am I not on?
Should I?
Okay, I'm on. Yeah, because talk with me. Let's have a conversation.
After PMQs, one of the lovely Conservative MPs decided that using questions from the public was a waste of time, and it took time away from the important things about backbenchers lobbying. So, Tom, backbenchers lobbying or questions from the public, what's more important?
Backbenchers lobbying, because they represent constituencies.
So the public doesn't represent the public, but backbenchers...
Hold on a second. How do we know that these questions have come from those people? He's putting names onto questions.
Because the
But we
people
don't-
often come out and say, that's my question, I'm glad he brought it up, David Cameron is a...
But if they both
Are they Labour Party members, activists? Likely.
No.
hang on, Harrison. But the issue is, what if they both done it then? I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be really weird. Well, Stacey thinks this, and Martin thinks this.
I'm quite sure David Cameron would never use the words of commoners in the House of Parliament.
Okay, well, we'll have to ask him. We'll get him on the show. Is that maybe that's something that we can make happen?
He doesn't go to decent radio shows, so Natty's going to do this one.
But there was a lot of controversy about the whole PMQs thing. I mean, one of them was the Conservative side, when there was a couple of few people laughing when he mentioned the names, which didn't go down too well. But also, I mean, it's quite easy if you're in a job
and you're fighting for the job with someone else, and the other person is just asking you questions, because it makes you look like a leader. If someone's asking you questions all the time and you're just answering them, and you never get anything back or any reply back, that's a really, really, really easy job, surely.
Does anyone kind of miss the political banter, all the jeering and stuff like that? I think that was part of what made PMQ somewhat watchable, to me at least. I mean,
I think now it's funny because Corbyn's so bad.
he's not bad.
I think. Well,
I think you're one of the few people that still holds that opinion for.
Well,
PMQs.
I know you've been. I know Harrison.
He,
you've been,
actually, Harrison, in the polls, he's doing very badly.
I know Harrison. You know what the gardeners. He's a gardener. What the Guardian readers. What it says in their little comments.
Even the
paper,
Telegraph has had to say that Jeremy Corbyn is doing quite well in PMQs, and
he's
that
doing
they're-
well because he's making the Prime Minister look good, and I have to say I fully endorse what the Telegraph is
Actually,
saying.
the Telegraph said that it's made him look bad. This is Telegraph Online. They
I
said
don't know
it makes
how.
his
I think it makes him look more of a statesman.
It makes his MPs look bad because the only things they can find to laugh at now are people involved in the housing crisis, which obviously is not a good thing for MP to do. Laugh
If
at
that,
people.
if they were laughing at that, I'm sure a number of Labour MPs would have named to distract them from their own U-turn, their own mistakes, the own fact that none of their MPs, well, not saying none of their MPs, a handful of them, about 30 odd, aren't going with the leader on the Chancellor on a very key issue. None of these apparently so-called laughing MPs have been named.
More MPs rebelled for the Conservatives for the most recent issue than for Labour.
They're the governing party.
Why don't
Opposition parties should present a united front.
So
Okay.
should the government.
And if you want to talk about abandoning that, I think how many times did Jeremy Corbyn support his leader?
Okay, this is
I
turning
just
into-
forgot I have power over the microphones. Wow. Okay, wow. That's
just turning into a Labour versus Conservative. Just
Yeah.
And like the
Just
general election,
fighting.
I tend to win.
We've already
Okay.
had Drake versus Meek Mill. I don't want Labour versus Conservative.
Yeah.
you know.
I'm actually
Really.
green for.
I've
for
had
this.
enough beef this year.
Yeah, I mean, actually, as much as we are the Politics Society, let's just point it out right now. I mean, we are going to be doing our question time, a bit of self-endorsement here. We will be doing our debating sort of events, but most of the time we're trying to get more social and make people that may not be that interested in politics still be interested in what is happening in the news and to talk about such topics. Michael, have you got any light to shed on any more things you've seen this week that you'd like to talk about?
When did Nadia win the Bake Off? Was that this week? Was that I don't watch the Bake Off.
I think that was
That was last week.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You can bring it up.
I mean, I just liked it. I never watched one episode of the Bake Off because I'm a student and I don't want to watch people cook food that I can't afford. But just seeing that it pissed off the Daily Mail kind of made me happy. Are we allowed to say pissed?
Honestly, I don't know. So I
I've
think
said
To
it
be
twice
honest, I
now.
think we could go far worse.
I mean, it's
Anyone gets
nearly 9.
offended, write in. You'll find that just put your letter in any dustbin; it'll get to us.
What time's the watershed? Is it 9?
Oh, by the way,
got
I've got
3
some bad news.
What?
It's just been announced the University of Greenwich has not won the prize.
Oh,
That's just
just
come
now.
to me.
Live
Burntwood
on air.
School
Breaking news.
one has apparently.
breaking live.
Thank
on
you to the
air.
guy, you know who you are, who's just sent that to me.
Breaking news on air. This was the
if you-
biggest story we had.
This is
If
why
you're
we
lying,
do
I'm
this.
going to break your neck.
Ah. Okay. Wait.
So the news is Greenwich has lost that building thing, that boring story that no one cared about.
No, Tom's was the boring story no one cared about.
Yeah,
The
apart
architectural
from that- that
arts
was-
was boring.
don't think you're in a position to talk.
I've been trying to find a good little sound effect for that, like dum dum dum. I can't find any. So
I'm so confused.
I was going to play like a sad tone, but there aren't any. They're all
No, I
guns.
think what's fairly sad is Harrison talking about how united the Labour Party are. If we get him to repeat some of those lines again, I'm
think-
sure it would add an appropriate back tune to this.
Beef.
I don't
Terrible
think the Labour
news.
Party is united, but I think the Conservative parties are divided.
Conservative Party is divided.
Well, yeah.
The Conservative Party has been divided since it began. That's how it goes on being so
Hang on.
successful.
The only thing we're baking here is bored listeners. I hope you heard that back at home. I just
At
made
the
that.
end of the day, we're all gonna die. So it's just why
We're not going into that conversation again. I've done that one today.
Was it not wonderful, the whole Bake Off thing? I mean, was it not great? I mean, that's the most in touch my nan has been with the Muslim community her whole life. Probably watching that and watching that victory.
I understand that,
it was a wonderful occasion. Surely, I mean, when she cried, did anyone shed a tear?
Well, you think it's great
No.
because she is a Muslim, or just great because
I think, yeah. The fact that we sometimes, I think sometimes we sit back and think, yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Having a Muslim with the British.
Hold on a second.
Bake Off.
To be honest with you, I don't really give a toss. A person has won Bake Off. A person has lost Bake Off. A person went out and Bake Off every week. What
A person
how
is
she
criticised by the Daily
how
Mail
she-
for being a Muslim.
no, what religion she follows, what country her parents or grandparents or she may have come from is irrelevant. When I go into my takeaway, local takeaway or local restaurant, I don't go, where's the chef come from? To be honest, I don't care. As long as they can do their job, then and they can cook a nice meal, then I don't care.
But-
Congratulations on her.
Especially the sort of Muslim demographic, though. The sort of the negative press and the negative sort of perception that a lot of people in this country have. Do you not just think sometimes it's a bit great when you see such a big show and such a positive thing
But to be
written
fair,
by
Tom,
someone?
The way people are going on about it, as if they expected her to put a bomb in a bloody fruit cake or something.
I think
That
it was
is
only
not the
you
case.
expecting that.
No, that is not the case.
I mean-
People should not be stereotyping like that.
I
but
mean,
to be fair, the people who made this an issue were the Daily Mail. When a white
The
lady
Daily-
white lady went out, the Daily Mail said maybe she would have had a better chance if she made a chocolate mosque. Why bring that into
Well, the
it?
Daily Mail's a load of, apart from a handful of good columnists. Daily
Well,
Mail's
that is
a load
Comments
of,
that support your party.
The Sun
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
Daily
yeah.
Mail were the ones who made an issue out of it.
well, that's their issue.
They're
But-
also
Maybe.
the ones that got the
Their
Conservatives
issue.
elected.
To be honest with you, she's a person who won a competition. She should be applauded. If she goes on to be a good role model, be like Sajid Javid is a good role model for young Muslim males, and
Sajid Javid is the
and a number of
Conservative MP.
a number of cricketers. I haven't followed cricket as much as perhaps I should, but of this last few summers, I don't know who's come through. But if these people act as role models, like anyone should in society, then you know what? Good on them.
Yes, I
And
think
if they get rid of any stereotypes, then fantastic on them. Judge people as people, not by who they say they are or what they are.
But when it comes to
and
negative
their
stories,
contributions.
people are not being judged as people; they're being judged as a collective. How many negative stories do we hear about Muslims compared to good ones? So when we hear about a good one, we want to celebrate.
That's what
it.
we're saying. It's nice. It was nice, and the food looked really good. It did, and that's just. We just got to accept. We just got to accept it, We just got. And I just think sometimes, we get caught up in all the stuff that happens in the negative media. But listeners at home, if you're the same as us right now, just sit back, and look at the scene and go, yeah, we're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. We're doing something here. So thank you for bringing up the Great British Bake Off, because that was honestly my highlight of the week. Also, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Has anyone else got any other highlights this week?
I also think the
It's not Nottingham based, is it?
No, it's not. It's Scotland based, or perhaps that's too north for you. You want me to just shut up and leave the room?
I would love that. But
I think most of our listeners would. Quite
Not the ones I'm in contact with. Basically, there's a SNP MP. It hasn't really hit the news too much. It definitely won't be in your readings of The Guardian. But
He was pointing at Harrison again. You have
Make
to
it
say
clear.
people's name.
There's a lot of
well, to
people
be
in
fair,
the-
I think most people know who. When I talk about Guardian or Left Wing, it's not going to be you. And it's
When
not
you
gonna
say
be
most
Michael.
people,
It's-
these people have just been introduced to us for half an hour, Tom.
Let's be honest.
Some of these
Vast
people
majority
have
of the
no
people,
idea who
vast
we
majority of the
are.
people listening know us and are probably only listening out to be polite. Let's not go thinking we've attracted a wide audience. I think most people, if they didn't know us, would have switched off by now. But let's be honest. It's politics, new kind of politics and all that.
We are aiming, listeners. We are aiming to get the barrier that we have to cross is 41 listeners. That is the most listeners by Latitude got last year. Our aim is to get the most this year, and we have a lot to do. But I really think we can do it, and with your help, listeners, and your spreading of the word of the amazing show that this has been so far, with your help, I think we can do it. Now, Tom, I think you're going to talk to us a bit about the SNP, aren't you?
Yes, the SNP. One of their MPs has had the whip removed, and there's a good chance that there may be a by-election in Scotland. You haven't heard of that, have you? What she's done, the techniques behind it, I can't remember offhand, but what she has done is she's something like she's had some properties, but then has done something, and she employed something dodgy with a really dodgy solicitor who's been struck off in Scotland, and what that means is she has she's basically been. It's a seat that if United, Labour or potentially the Lib Dems, likely the Lib Dems could take. So potentially you could end up with Scotland losing an MP, the SNP losing an MP.
Okay, that's.
Oh, this is bizarre. This is something I really wanted to talk about. So I'm going to take the floor with this. Do any of you watch Homeland?
Couple times.
I mean, I only ever watched one episode, and I never considered it racist. But I didn't get into enough seasons to realise it was racist. Harrison's smiling.
I have watched all of Homeland, and it is very racist.
Okay, well that's good because we needed the clarification. Well, basically,
racism.
This is a very, very, very funny story actually, because Homeland is seen as racist. What has happened is they're the graffiti artists. The graffiti artists and the artists for the set were basically told to spray graffiti on the walls because it was filmed in Berlin. The set. And they needed the Arabic writing in graffiti art. Well, the graffiti artist wrote in Arabic, "Homeland is racist." So on the 5th series of Homeland, on some episodes, if you can read Arabic writing, you will actually read "Homeland is racist." So for you Arabic listeners out there, and I know there are a few, get watching Homeland.
Just to fill us in. What is Homeland? I don't watch it.
Homeland is a series. Harrison, you're the watcher.
Homeland is a series about the CIA
Yeah.
and the idea that CIA are the one last battalion in the fight against Muslims.
Okay, so what? Okay, so that's why they're racist. I'm guessing. Yeah.
They sort of divide it into two people. They have Americans that are always the good guys unless they're Muslim.
Yeah.
Or they have Muslims. It doesn't matter where they're from, but they're always played
Bad
by the
guys.
same actors, and they're always the bad guys.
I can see
There's
why
a
that's
Jewish
racist.
guy in it as well.
Oh, so it is very much because I just got told that they wrote Homeland is racist. I didn't know whether that was just a minority perspective.
Well, I think what you've got to remember is one guy's opinion. If the Guardian are reporting this and are saying it's racist, the chances are it probably isn't. But I don't watch Homeland, so I can't fully comment. I know the general plots, no, I don't want to say plots. I know generally what's going on. I know it's got that ginger guy who was in a Shakespeare.
He's
program.
died now.
He's died. Oh, terrible news.
He was hung in Iran.
But
hanged.
awful.
Well, actually, we are running very, very, very quickly out of time. I mean, they actually said to us, the radio people, that it would go really, really, really quickly. I mean, we're 7 minutes over, but it did take us 10 minutes to begin.
Could I just?
So we have 3 minutes left. Don't worry.
Despite the allegations against me by my learned colleague, the only newspaper I have a subscription to is The Times.
Well,
that's because you probably robbed the Guardian.
that is the best. That is the best bombshell that we could probably end this on. Michael, have you got anything else to add? We actually do have 3 more minutes, but we screwed up the whole time system, so we can stop whenever we want to. We have the power, which is quite a frightening perspective for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it. Tom, it was fun. Should do this again sometime. Harrison, same. Yeah.
Well, without Harrison,
When we say some other time, we will be here 8 p.m. every Thursday, guys, and hopefully next week everything will go according to plan. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all Thursday 8 p.m. next week.